Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus and our very own First Minister, Alan Rough, is with us here. He's staying with us throughout the whole show, Ruffy, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Same haircut as you, Nicola.
Yeah, absolutely. Stick with us, Ruffy. Stick with us. Listen, we've got lots to talk about on the programme. Thank you for your support. Don't forget, if you hit the subscribe button, you can join the football family. It's uncensored, unbiased, unmatched. Despite, obviously, every now and then on a weekly basis, Ruffy, somebody is vilified in a certain supporters group. Today it's Tam. I'm so glad the heat's off us. Tam's getting it in the neck this week, and we'll discuss that a little later on. Oh, he's getting it. So that's what happens when you have an opinion. They're not happy with you, and we might as well let them all steam in and absolutely cane you on this programme. Anyway, we've got lots to talk about. We'll talk about Celtic and Rangers a little later on in the programme, with Celtic, with a few teams that they fancy playing in their summer travels. We'll also talk about Dave King's decision on his shares, and we'll look at some of those tasty games tonight, all in your company. Don't forget, if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking football stories at your fingertips. As ever, well done in the competition last week. We get Gerard Murphy, who won the Celtic book, and Andrew Boyd, who picked up the Rangers book. And every week there's a winner, there's a competition all the way through to the summer, and we've got one ongoing right now.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question. How many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that, and thanks to so many of you for joining us on a regular basis. Thank you for all the nice messages as well. Tam, Thomas, Robert as well, Stuart from sunny Carnoustie. Happy with that. Ruffy, you've been there a few times, haven't you?
Tam's played Carnoustie as well.
Have you?
I'm going up to Carnoustie on the 26th of February for a wee day with my missus.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, you should have told Derek. Stuart.
David Hay, shut up.
Stuart is up there in Carnoustie, so there you are, Stuart. If you see two,
We've staggering at a pub in Carnoustie next.
I was just about to say, if you see two faces at your window, you know they can't get a taxi and they're trying to get home. So thanks to so many of you for posting your messages, and also as far as this week is concerned, we always like to give you a little quiz question. That's coming up shortly, and we'll discuss Aberdeen search for a manager, Motherwell, Partick Thistle as well, and of course we're going to ask you the question, which game are you going to be watching tonight? Because not only have we got some tasty Champions League matches, we've got one humdinger of a game in the English Premier League, as well as Motherwell against St Mirren in the Scottish Premiership. So if you have your choice, tell us what it is and why. So with all that in mind, quite a lot of people are posting messages to us, and this one watching from Law Village near Carluke. I know Law Village. Niall is a big Motherwell fan. He's listened in since I think the start, Ruffy.
Oh, he's been years and years, and always contributing, always get something to say, and usually very sensible. Yep,
Joseph McGonigal, Plymouth, Peter. That's where he is, Plymouth. Oh, wow. I've never been nice to place. Plymouth. Yeah, you been there?
Played against him.
Right.
I was at Barcelona, right down south in it, towards the
Cornwall.
Okay. Hugh Scott says, Arsenal, Man City for me, Peter. Well, Hugh.
He's not watching Motherwell St Mirren. I'm watching Motherwell St Mirren.
Well, it's not on the telly, so we're dying to know how you're watching it.
Motherwell TV.
Yeah, absolutely, you're a subscriber. Okay. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. What about the quiz question? It's an easy one, I think, maybe. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Here it is. Which manager has the most English Premier League wins after 250 matches? So, there's a good one. Which manager has the most English Premier League wins
Have a guess, Ruffy.
after 250 matches? Who are you going for?
Need a time in that one.
Just an English manager.
The English Premier League's only been in existence since 1992, I think.
I know.
1992, when you think of some of the managers who've been there.
I'll go for Pep.
You're going for Pep? What about
I'm
yourself?
going to go for Mourinho at Chelsea.
Mourinho at Chelsea, okay.
A dominant.
And give us your thoughts on that as well. You might want to offer your answer on it, and we'll give you the answer by the end of the programme. Simple as that. We'll also let you get another chance to see that competition. What about Aberdeen, the search for a manager? Here's a statement that Aberdeen have released regarding their search. Aberdeen recruitment for a new manager is progressing, with potential candidates being considered against the detailed criteria and philosophy the club has set out. There's been a high level of interest as well as some unfounded speculation. It is vital that we carry out the necessary diligence in drawing up a shortlist before embarking on any serious talks or interviews. Alan Burrows, who starts as Chief Executive on the 27th of February, will be involved in the next steps. It's important that we take our time and be patient. In the meantime, Barry Robson, supported by Steve Agnew and Scott Anderson, will continue to lead the first team, and they are wholly focused on preparation for Saturday's match. So there's no rush. They're going to let Alan Burrows come in, offer his expertise in this one as well, before they eventually plump for a new man.
Yeah, it's just interesting who's going to be replacing Alan Burrows at Motherwell. Is he part of that as well? Is he part of his replacement? So I think Alan Burrows is going to be pretty busy in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I think it's obviously important that Alan Burrows has got a big say in it, because director of football, you know, he's got to have a say in who's going to be the next manager. Whether it's Barry Robson's in the driving seat, you know, he started pretty well. He's got a victory under his belt. You know, I think they'll give him it. As long as he keeps winning, you know, maybe buy sell a little bit of time, but you know, some big names. You know, Chris Wilde is one of the biggest names that's been mentioned so far, and he's been well bet in the manager market. So whether it's him or somebody else, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was another one, a Dutch guy who's the favourite, Ruud Brood or Krud or something. So he was the other one that, and these names don't get plucked from nowhere. Somebody wants to put money on them. They've heard a sniff.
Yep.
So there's no smoke without fire, as they say. So you know, but listen, I think that Barry Robson, if he keeps winning games, he's got a chance of getting it.
It's good to know that Tam is adopting your policy on any name. If it's close to it, he'll just fire it out. Ruud Bruce is the bookie's favourite for the job. Of course, Chris Wilder, I think, distanced himself eventually from it. But 3-1 at the moment. Derek McInnes tipped at 6-1 to leave Kilmarnock to go back to Pittodrie. I can't see that happening at all. Barry Robson 4-1, and Chris Wilder, they still got him in there at 7-1 despite ruling himself out. Philippe Martins 9-1, and also David Martindale in there at 10-1. You've got Neil Lennon at 14-1, Jack Ross at 12-1. There might be somebody out of left field that we haven't thought about. Although, can I just say to you, you know, why the Aberdeen chairman has to say there are some names that have just been thrown in there. Who cares? That's the joy of it all, isn't it?
No, they'll be sitting around the boardroom. There'll be somebody will have a list of managers who are at a job or who comes into contention for it, and then they'll have to narrow it down. Yeah, I mean, there's enough people up there, you know, in the football. Obviously, be Craig's there, you know, be influenced by him as well. It'd be interesting to see which way they get in. They've already poached a couple of managers that hasn't worked, so I don't know if they'll go down that road again.
Yeah.
You know, if it'll be somebody who's got a CV and not in a job just now. But with Alan Burrows there, you know, he might have a big say in that, because he's worked with a particular person who's doing particularly well at another club than now.
Yeah, okay.
Is that Ruffy?
Yeah. Let's not mention Stuart, Stephen Robinson or St Mirren. Let's keep it a secret, Ruffy, so that nobody really knows who you're talking about. Motherwell against St Mirren. Stephen Robinson came back to his old club tonight, and Motherwell desperately looking to find some kind of form. If the players are sorry, then they need to show that they're willing to fight for the interim boss at the moment.
Well, according to Ruffy, that's Stephen Robinson putting himself in the short window. Alan Burrows about the game, so he's putting himself in the short window for Aberdeen job. But no, it's a big game for both teams. I think for Stuart Kettlewell, you seen him, you know, speaking yesterday. I think he wants the job. I think he's, you know, he was speaking about his own personal record at Ross County. He was talking his sell up. So if he gets a reaction at that set of players, you know, the board that Motherwell might think he's worth a shout at the end of the season. He's got to win tonight. I think for Stuart, you know, it's the performance goes out the window. They've got to win. If he wins, you know, and they can put a wee run of games together, then he's got a chance of getting it. If not, you know, there'll be other, I think, managers out of job at the minute who would like that Motherwell job. Sometimes,
Ruffy, and again, football is a crazy business where sometimes you get a complete novice in who has to take the job, and they might have been a great footballer, and they come in to try and do a job. Now, in the case of the English Premier League, sometimes the job is just too big for them. In Scotland, you sometimes get, you know, a guy who's, for example, Stephen Hamill, who's been thrust into the limelight to try and do it with Brian Kerr as his assistant. Whereas, you know, the sensible thing, I think, for some people, and we've talked about this on a regular basis on the show, is if you are a young up-and-coming, you know, man who wants to become a manager, go and get somebody experienced behind you, somebody that you trust, somebody that's maybe been over the course before that can pass on that knowledge to you and just make you aware of the pitfalls of it all. Somebody who doesn't have that blind ambition that they might be wanting your job.
No, I think they've got to have some kind of CV. They've got to have something when they go to that meeting, and they've got to produce it and say, look, this is what I've done here. I've brought some young players through, I've sold them on, I've made the club 2 or 3 million, this is the way I think we should be playing, with the right players. So you've got to tick all these boxes. I've only been in one boardroom decision, and that was with Caldwell. At Partick Thistle, and the only other candidate we interviewed was Jim McIntyre.
Yeah.
And the two of them had completely different views. Both of them very good. I thought Jim McIntyre was excellent as well. But Gary brought something different, a more modern, thing, and everybody goes on about, he had a thing with a slideshow,
PowerPoint.
a PowerPoint. But he'd really went into every player that we had, pluses, weaknesses, players that he would want to get, what he would do with the academy, and his interview was absolutely unbelievable. It was more modern, although Jim had a track record of what he'd done in the game, and it was equal to that, but the board went for the younger version because in that interview, I think Gary was better. And that was what sold it. So that whoever goes into any boardroom has to tick these boxes, because the people who'll be sitting in front of you will be maybe 5 or 6 directors, and they're not maybe all going to agree with a particular guy that they're going to go for. So they've got to make sure they pick the right one.
Yeah, and the strange thing about it is they all have a contrasting job remit. If you take the Aberdeen job, does it need somebody with experience to get the best out of the squad because there's going to be no signings between now and the summer, and they want to get into the European spot? Do you take the Motherwell job realising that your job is a firefighter? You've got to try and keep them away from relegation. And in the case of Partick Thistle, the new man that's coming in there, his remit is get us into the playoffs, and then from there, get us back to the Premier League.
Yeah, they're all different jobs. I think with Aberdeen, obviously Aberdeen's the biggest job out of 3. I think Aberdeen, you're looking for somebody that goes and puts you into the top 3 or 4. Aberdeen's got a big budget, in terms of Scottish football. They're probably the 3rd biggest budget, around about Hearts in the league. So they'll be expecting to finish 3rd and be challenging for trophies. Motherwell, I just think Motherwell needs somebody to come in and keep them in a division. And you've got experienced guys there like Yogi, done it at Ross County. I know he's had a couple of poor jobs at Wraith Rovers and Dunfermline where they get relegated, but done well at Ross County, went in halfway through the season and kept team up against the odds. Tommy Wright's another one, didn't have a great spell at Kilmarnock but done really well at St Johnstone. There's 2 experienced ones for Motherwell. And then you've got guys who I think should be linked. Lee Bullen at Ayr United doing a great job. Ian Murray at Wraith Rovers. There's 2 younger managers doing well in the Championship. So it just depends on, Ruffy says, just depends what the board want. Do they want a young up-and-coming manager that's a wee bit more risky, or do they want somebody with a proven track record like a Yogi or a Tommy Wright to come in and just keep them in division? Partick Thistle's another one. I think for Chris Doolan's in the driving seat. I think that he's obviously a Partick Thistle legend. Supporters will get right behind him, but is he ready? And Stephen Hamlin, unfortunately, wasn't ready. Is Chris Doolan ready? And that's the thing. Do they want to go with him? So it's going to be interesting to see in the next week or two who they get as managers, because they're going to have to get people in quick.
Yeah.
It's more noticeable down in England, because when there's a team down the bottom of the Premiership who's going to get relegated, who do they go for? They go for a tried and trusted manager who's been in that kind of club and got them out of it.
Well, Neil Warnock just went to Huddersfield
at 74.
At 74 and just retired, and they're getting him back, right?
And you've got Big Sam, who usually gets a bottom 3 team at some stage of the season. Sean Dyche, he's been picked up because he has got a survival record, and that's the way they seem to, their board of directors seem to look at that and go, well, he saved that team, and he's saved that team, so why can he not save us?
Yeah, the other aspect of this is that there are a lot of young up-and-coming managers, in the same mould as you mentioned for Gary Caldwell, who really have some innovative ideas and, of course, need to be given their chance. But whether the chance is going to be available at 3 clubs who I think have quite a difficult job ahead. Mm-hmm. I think experience might be the key here. It might not. Thanks for all your suggestions on who you think could come in at these places. We always like to, read out a lot of your points as well. Motherwell against St Mirren is a simple one tonight. I think Stuart Kettle was just hoping that there's a bit of unity at Fir Park.
For us to compete against St Mirren, we're going to have 11 to 18, 20 players, including the guys that are on the bench, we're going to have every single one of them unified. And again, I'll go back to it, if you don't do that, or I'm not able to achieve that in the short term, then it'll be exceptionally difficult to compete with St Mirren, because their work ethic, their organisation, their togetherness, for me, has got them into the position that they sit in just now.
Okay, the predictor at the top of the table, Ruffy, is very, very tight at the moment. McManus is back in there, but I'm just breathing down your neck. I think there's only a point between us now. So I've got St Mirren to win it by 1-0. You, on the other hand, don't have that.
No, I don't. I think Motherwell's fortunes have got to change. I know their form is not particularly good, but I think every team has its day, and I think the change could be the night, and new manager in there, a new voice. I think Stuart talks particularly well. Might be the case that the players really appreciate, that new voice and new ideas. So I went Motherwell to win. I think is it 5-1?
Yeah, no, 2-1. Yeah,
2-1.
So no real logic.
I've went St Mirren 3-1 to win.
Yeah. 3-1.
3-1 to St Mirren.
What have you went?
I'd fancy St Mirren
1-0 St
strongly.
Mirren.
1-0.
Yeah.
And I think he'll get a reaction at the Motherwell players, but I think St Mirren are, as you said there, physical, good side, well organised. I think it's got a tough ask for Motherwell tonight.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people giving their own suggestions on who should be there.
James McPake was another one we never mentioned.
I think James McPake's a great option because of... When you get the rough end of the stick at Dundee, look what he's done at Dunfermline.
Yep, I think he's got to be in the mix for all the jobs. I think, but would he leave Dunfermline, who are probably going to win that league, to take over Motherwell, who might be in the same league as them next year?
Yeah,
the Championship. Owen Coyle's another one mentioned. Don't see him leaving Queen's Park to go to Motherwell, although he's a Motherwell legend. So these guys are at the top of the league for a reason, and I think they would want to see it through to the end of the season and get a league title under their belt.
Am I just out of left field here thinking I like John Hughes, I like the football that he wants his team to play?
Yeah, listen, Yogi done really well at Ross County.
Is it too far away?
At Dunfermline.
Yogi, does he live in Trinent?
No, he lives in Edinburgh. I think he would jump at any of the jobs, but Yogi's. I played under Falkirk, done really well at Falkirk, done well at Hibs, won the cup with Inverness, kept Ross County up. A couple of black marks against him, he'd admit that himself. Relegated with Wraith Rovers, relegated with Dunfermline. So there's a bit of a mixed bag, but I think in the short term, could he come in and galvanise Motherwell and keep them in the division? Absolutely for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Of course, the Aberdeen question is also an interesting one. Thanks to Gregor, who's an Aberdeen fan who just basically waits every day to have a dig at us. And of course, Ruffy, we don't mind. I'll rephrase that. Just have a dig at me. I don't mind actually.
I don't mind either, but Ruffy takes it hard. So Gregor, just don't.
Yeah, don't go for
Ruffy.
Just keep coming for me, Gregor. I'm big enough and man enough for these things. He says Peter's just hacked off. I've changed the wording there because he's got no idea who the next Aberdeen manager will be, as he's got zero contacts or mates at Aberdeen.
I gave you the Stephen Glass scoop.
So
didn't work too well, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely, well, great. That was fantastic. I don't think we're hanging your life on knowing who the next Aberdeen manager is. We're just waiting to see if he can get the best out of the players, because it's been unbelievable failure over the last 30 years. One trophy, it's not good enough, is it, Ruffy?
No, it's not. They should be challenging. The Aberdeen sides of old were always a joy to watch, with fantastic players. They have went off the rails in obviously not recent years, but a few years. Yeah, and I keep bringing it up. There was it 5 years ago they were challenging Celtic for the league around about Christmas time.
Should have been. And Ronnie Dyer,
that got Celtic at the right time. But I mean, if there was ever a chance that Aberdeen could have done it, it was then. Yeah. But they never took it. They had a couple of bad results at the wrong time, and they just drifted.
Absolutely. Looking forward, incidentally, to going up to celebrate Gothenburg, the 40-year celebration trophy.
Oh, you're doing that?
Up there in Aberdeen. Cool. A double whammy.
Some money, yeah. Big money.
It's all there. If you're talking about Aberdeen, it's got money. So if you can tap into that market, Tam, you'll be doing well. Anyway, listen, whoever the manager is, I want Aberdeen to be a strong Aberdeen with a different ethos from what's gone before. The Aberdeen fans were scunnered with Derek McInnes and his style of football. One trophy over that period is not good enough. They won it in the worst ever cup final I've ever witnessed against Inverness. I think they should be winning more, and I really would like to see them actually compete. They've got the potential to compete, and they've got a great club up there.
Well, they're not going to win any league, so they've got to put everything into the cups, and they've got 2 cups, and in all fairness, they generally get to a semi-final or a final and then fail when they get there. So the Aberdeen supporters know that as a tradition, that at least they need to have a massive run in one of the cups.
Yeah, okay. We wait and wonder to see who will eventually get that job and how they're going to fare. Other stories that we're going to talk about today, don't forget we'll give you details of the competition as well. Hit the subscribe button. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news, and you'll be able to watch the programme as well at your leisure, including all our unique video content, dream teams, one-to-ones, it's all there. The referees and the SFA, they have called on action against Celtic over that Douglas Ross banner. I'm not surprised by that call from the referees, Ruffy. It was in poor taste. We've mentioned it, and I think they're complaining and they want something done about it. And no surprise that Celtic could find themselves with a censure for the conduct of those supporters in that corner.
Yeah, and it seems to be always the supporters in that corner, and in all fairness, there are times when that corner is particularly good with their banners. They do it in the right phase, if it's a European game or whatever, but there are some times that they just extremely let themselves down, and they let themselves down with that banner, particularly with him being on the line. He's there, and witnessing. It's a horrible feeling, people are putting personal banners up there against a guy who's there, trying to do a decent job. So yeah, I think they will. So they'll get some kind of reprimand. But the club, I think it's the club that should be doing something about it. I know they've done something about it before when it got out of hand, but they really have to have a serious word with it.
Yeah, absolutely. No surprise on that. As far as Celtic are concerned, I think they're contemplating a summer tour of, wait for it, Japan. Makes perfect sense. It's been a brilliant market for them.
Yeah, it has in terms of players. Obviously, the popularity of Celtic in Japan is going through the roof. The players that they're signing. So it does make sense to go over there and take those Japanese players back home.
PSG, Bayern Munich, and I think also Manchester United. That would be some tournament, wouldn't it?
That's massive clubs, and that's going to be massive interest in that tournament. It's going to be a big payday for Celtic. It increases their popularity, as I said, amongst the Japanese public and the media and supporters. So, no, I think it's I think it makes sense, and it's a market that's treated Celtic very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Blackadder says Peter loves a dig at the Green Brigade. Blackadder, whatever your name is, we don't love a dig at the Green Brigade. We love a dig at people who really tarnish the club's name, and it's in bad taste. And it's a banner that should never have been up there. If you know what it's like to be a decent Celtic supporter, then the decent Celtic fans know that it was in bad taste and it shouldn't have been unveiled. And I think a number of the board will undoubtedly be at this moment feeling disgusted that it's gone up there, because again, I just think it's in poor taste. Whether you like them or not, what your politics are, not the thing to do, Ruffy.
Yeah, the thing about it is you represent your club. You represent your club, and you want people from abroad or people, neutrals, who want to see the club and want to, anything they want to see, they want to think good of the club. They shouldn't be identifying things that are bad, and it's just the club that gets a bad name. Oh, that's the club, that throw out all these banners that shouldn't be there. And unfortunately, the majority of the supporters are the ones that come under that umbrella as well. Yeah,
don't forget, you can post messages to us and we'll try and react to as many of them as possible. Sometimes we do ban people who just have their head firmly in the gutter, but it's the majority of people who watch the programme are football fans and love their club and like to make sensible points about it. It's as simple as that. Okay, from the tour of potentially Japan for Celtic to Rangers, Dave King is considering his next move after obviously that position that he was taking, giving the shares, selling them over to 1872. That deal is now no longer on the table, so he's going to obviously look and at this moment just wait and see if there are any viable buyers for his shares in the future, although Club 1872 have got a fair grip of a fair few shares.
Yeah, they have. I think Dave King was it Kyle Fox was it the American investor. I think there's a lot rumbling on behind the scenes at Rangers in terms of the shares with Dave King. I don't think he's happy with the current incumbents at the board at Rangers, so I just think watch this space. He's obviously wanting to sell his shares, but he wants to sell them to for the right price and to the right people. So How many shares has he got? 15%, Peter? 10,
Yeah, it's about that.
15%, about that. So still a large chunk.
I haven't counted them.
You know.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see who eventually sells them, because I think he's wanting to cash in and sell them to someone.
With regards to other stories that involve Rangers, Ruffy, I noticed Mark Tillman, I was reading the Daily Mail, possibly leaving the door open for that deal at Rangers. He's only 20 years of age. If he keeps putting in impressive performances, there is a suggestion that Bayern Munich might take him back, and there's a pathway to the Bayern Munich first team. The biggest problem, I think, for Rangers is it's been a while since they've spent £5 million in a player.
Yeah, that's the big decision, isn't it? I know that, and the thing we'll be saying is, have we seen enough of him so far to be a £5 million player? And they've already looked at Ryan Kent. Was he £7 million?
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of people are still out there, going, was that a good buy? So,
and we still haven't had any announcement whatsoever on whether they've got him in a contract. He could leave in the summer for nothing.
Yeah, you're right. So it's a big one. It is a lot of money, £5 million. Then I think the boy, and I've seen it. There's been wee bits, that he's been very, very good and everything that he does. But they're seeing him every week and. Seeing him in training and everything, so they're the ones that have to decide, is he a £5 million player?
Yeah, the other aspect of this is, if he's a £5 million player, even at 20 years of age, you're looking at saying if he could develop, there's a good sell-on value for somebody of that age. And I don't know about you, but I like him at times when he's on his game. He looks a player.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of weeks you're starting to see why he's so highly rated at Bayern Munich. When he first came in, I thought, good player, good attributes. He plays between the lines, he can go by people, he's quick, he can see a pass, he can score. But it was too inconsistent. We remember the goal, it was against Motherwell. He went through them like a hot knife through butter, and it was a great goal. So he showed flashes of he's got real quality. And I think over the last couple of weeks when I've seen him, under Michael Beale in particular, I think, you can see why it's £5 million. I think if he keeps that level of form up for now at the end of the season, he's obviously got a big cup final coming up against Celtic. If he produces that, I think there will be a big clamour among the Rangers fans to sign him up permanently. He's 20-year-old. I think if you can get consistent performances out of him and improve him, I think that £5 million could be a snip. Yeah.
What do you make of the draw? They've got Wraith Rovers in the Scottish Cup. Celtic are away to Tynecastle to face Hearts.
Tough one for Celtic, first and foremost. I think that was the hardest one, obviously, bar Rangers away, that they could have got. I would still expect Celtic to beat Hearts. I think they're better. Great result, great draw for Wraith Rovers. Spoke to Ian. Wraith Rovers have got a great record against Rangers over the last couple of seasons. They beat them in the Ramsden's Cup final. I don't think they'll be going there with too much confidence of winning at Ibrox.
With all due respect, you're going back a bit, are you not?
I am, but they haven't got a decent record against Rangers. But I think for Wraith Rovers, that's a massive tie for them financially, to go to Ibrox, maybe a full house. Ruffy can tell me the figures of that. I've obviously after a party at Thistle, he went there, so I think Ian's looking forward to getting that money in his kitty and try to build for next season. Yeah, the one great thing about it is you're talking about clubs out with the Premier League are going to find themselves suddenly in the semi-final. Yep, Falkirk via United, two of my old clubs. I mean, two great clubs. Who are won the Championship, won in League One. Two excellent teams. A great prize for them to go to Hampden. Both will fancy it, and then you've got Inverness against Kilmarnock. So they're going to be at Hampden, one of the teams. So it's a brilliant draw. Three of the big teams get drawn against each other, and that's what you're looking for. It's a great pathway for one of them in semi-finals. In terms of finance, and you might even avoid them again. If the Celtic Rangers, so you never know. Yeah,
Ruffy, in your day, did you actually get to play was it a semi-final at Hampden, or was it just that the main occasion was the final?
The League Cup one with
any final, any cup.
Yeah, the semi-final was at Hampden. It was against Falkirk. Partick Thistle versus Falkirk, and we beat them 2-0. And I told you the quiz question. If anybody could tell us who the two Falkirk centre forwards were that night.
I remember you doing that quiz question. It was a belter.
It'd be 71.
71.
Falkirk centre forwards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alec Totten?
No.
Alec Ferguson?
Sir Alec Ferguson.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yes. And don't you forget it, by the way. See, Ruffy,
he's one of them?
Yes, he's one of them, yeah.
And the other one, is he well known?
Yeah, well known, yeah. Well known and more coaching and with UEFA and...
Roxburgh.
Jimmy Bone?
Andy Roxburgh.
Andy Roxburgh.
Andy Roxburgh and Sir Alex Ferguson was the two strikers?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, interesting. You had
I can't
to be
remember who we played when Hibs got to the final against Aberdeen?
The semi-final, you can't remember?
Oh, it was Rangers. It was a two-legged affair.
Did you beat Rangers over 2 legs?
Rangers over 2 legs.
Two legs.
There you are. No mean feat. And then, of course, you get absolutely splattered by Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, the Billy Stark era.
Yeah.
And all this.
They had a right
The year.
They had a right 86.
Yes.
They had a right good team then, didn't they?
They're a brilliant side then.
Yeah.
Do you remember the year Gretna got to the final, the Scottish Cup final against Hearts? Gretna got to the final against Hearts.
Was
Hearts
it
beat them
2006?
penalties, something like that.
Yeah.
I was at Dundee at the time, and we get Gretna in the semis, and we were in the Championship at the time, and they were in League 2, and they were favourites to beat us. They beat us 3-0.
Wow.
And I was playing right wing, and I tried to pass the ball back to the goalkeeper from about 60 yards out, and Kenny Duker intercepted it and ruined the goalkeeper and scored.
Kenny Duker.
Wow.
So I got an assist
A
for
good
Gretna.
doctor.
Good
Yeah.
doctor. Trying to sign him at Glenafton.
Your
I
career,
played with Kenny Duker at Falkirk.
Falkirk.
good player?
No,
No.
good goal scorer. Not a good player.
No. Okay then. And a big hi to Kenny if you're watching. It's great to.
Right, a great goal scorer, but I've seen him at
don't
Falkirk.
dig yourself out now.
Aye.
You've done him
He was
in.
on his way. I went to Falkirk.
Was that the time we Gretna, wee Danny Lennon and all the...
John O'Neill not
John
played,
O'Neill,
Paul
they
Tosh.
attracted all the
Yeah,
players.
Aye, they all played.
Brooks
Alan
Nelson.
Main was in goal. Aye, we played them.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is a difficult subject because it's a hot topic that's come out, but. Rachel Corsey says the Scotland team at the moment, their focus is on Spain, but right now they're in the middle of this battle with the tribunal over equal pay and conditions. Now, look at your head
You
going
don't
down.
get paid, you don't get paid for Scotland, do you?
No, but some, I think the Scotland men
qualify.
shared in the
Yeah,
qualification
stuff like that,
process. There was a period where I think Scotland players just said, look, we don't want paid at the moment. It's been such a long time, qualification. We're taking no money, and obviously they were able to do that because players were getting paid sufficiently. I think they were getting expenses, to be honest with you. But this is a tough one, Ruffy and Tam. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this one because they're really battling away, demanding equal pay for appearing for Scotland. That's the first thing. And they also want the same treatment as the male players on issues such as training facilities, hotels, travel kit, medical and nutritional resources. So it's something that is a thorny subject, certainly a hot topic because the women who are talking about this have said, these arrangements exist with the national teams in the USA, Norway, Canada and Sweden. And you're saying to yourself, okay, is there a strong case? Should it be right across the board? Everything that they're asking for. Rachel Corsey has pointed out that at this moment there is indeed a good communication going on with the SFA on this one, but as yet no definitive on what's been agreed or resolved.
Yeah, I think you touched on it there. It is a definitive in America. I was listening to that. They have got equal over there with the men's team. I think if they're going to big tournaments and they're producing, stuff for the TV and everybody's buying into it, I don't know about the equal bit, but they should be parable, that they should be looked after in the same way if you're talking about hotels and kit and everything, because it is a full-time job now, and the ladies game, whatever you call it, has progressed a lot. And if they're going to World Cups...
Ladies football, yeah.
Ladies, yeah. If you...
you said ladies game, whatever you call it.
No, I said ladies or women's.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see the English teams call themselves like Arsenal ladies.
Yeah.
And some teams are called.
I was wondering where you were going with it, Ruffy. Yeah.
So no, if they're at World Cup finals and they're attracting crowds of 50, 60, 70,000, which they are doing at these things, then they do deserve to pay reasonable money.
If they're attracting 50, 60,000 on a regular
World Cup
basis.
finals.
Yeah.
Well, they're not doing it at club level.
Yeah.
That's not happening yet. There are isolated incidents where there might be 6,000 or 7,000 at them, or even the qualifying games. It's a difficult one to get your head around, because it's the same as, I was going to say the golf there, because ladies golf and men's golf, that's going on the same as well, I think it's what you bring to the table.
Is it an argument? I think certainly I think the women should have the same training facilities, Tam, 100%.
I think all of that should be the same.
Hotels, travel kit,
yes.
medical and nutritional resources. Is this an argument about business, supply and demand, of the popularity of the sport, how much money's been taken in? Should that be taken into consideration, and does that act as a barrier to what the women's game is trying to achieve in this country?
Yeah, I think it does. I think when you look at USA in particular, you obviously know I played over there. The women's football, the women's football is just as big as the men's in America. It is huge. They've got so many women's teams. They're one of the best teams in the world. TV deals, their crowds are getting 20, 30,000. I don't think they're getting compared to Scottish football. Scotland national team men's playing at Hampden against a team in the Scottish women's national team playing. You're not getting the same crowds. You're not getting the same TV deals. So you're not bringing in the same revenue.
Yeah.
So I think that's the issue where you've got the problem. I think in terms of travel, hotels, physios, nutrition, all that stuff should be across the board, should be the same as the men's. But it's how much money you're going to bring in terms of revenue and crowds and TV deals and stuff like that, which is something that I think the SFA will be looking into now, in terms of giving in the same money for qualifying for a World Cup or a Euros as the men.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the issue.
And the big problem as well is you have some people who are at the driving force of it who are on maybe better deals down south and realising the structure down there, and if they're coming away on international duty, they want recompense for it. It's not quite the same type of money that's in the men's game, but are they right to be demanding the equal pay on it? There are so many areas of employment, Ruffy, where if a woman is doing the exact same job as a man to the same level of professionalism, the argument is, why shouldn't they be paid, equally? And I think this is where Rachel is, being the spokesperson and the leader of driving forward to the SFA. Well, if it's employment right across the board in other jobs, should we be getting it? I know it's a hot topic right across. Listen, you go on any social media platform and the arguments rage non-stop.
Yeah, I think if you get to the elite, we see it down in England, the ladies football have got their own TV programme, they've got their own sponsorship, they're all on very, very healthy wages, and the good ones are going over to like Real Madrid and Barcelona. And so, I mean, the other end of it is these people see them getting that much money down south and they're not getting it here. But I think if you qualify as a national team and you attract a sponsorship, you would like to think you would expect sponsorship to support you going to a final, then they should get the money.
Yeah, okay. Interesting one. You can give us your thoughts on that. Scotland are involved in a 3-game Pinatar Cup tournament at the moment. They lost 2-0 to Iceland earlier today, so that's the first setback in that tournament, but they'll be hoping to bounce back. Interesting topic. You can give us your thoughts on it. Should they be getting equal play as well? Now, tonight, big dilemma, huge dilemma, Ruffy, because you know what we're like. We love our football. We actually want to watch great games. Tam's mentioned, we've talked about Motherwell against St Mirren. I wonder actually if the crowd will be affected, Motherwell against St Mirren, on the basis that there are now on television, there's no ban towards any game being played at the same time as the Champions League, which is, another one of those stupid things that used to go on. Now you can either watch the top of the table English Premier League match or the Champions League football that's on offer. And remember, there are literally 2 English clubs at the top end of the Premier League, which is everybody is licking their lips about, and then Chelsea are in Germany to face Dortmund.
Chelsea against Dortmund, yeah, but I think I would go for the English.
Would you?
Arsenal Man City?
Yeah, I'd go for the Arsenal Man City game, I think, and record the other one.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and record the other one, the full game, and watch it?
No, just the highlights.
Yeah, so...
How can you tape it?
Just keep
Till you
flicking
see a goal?
forward.
Till you get to the goal.
What a
Brilliant. I mean, I must admit.
Does that in other videos, I know?
To be fair, actually, the way social media has gone and other things, yeah, absolutely, but that's Betamax. So, to be fair, the way social media has gone, sometimes, football fans now are not dictated to by the time that certain games or highlights are on, because usually you can get to YouTube and think, okay, bump, I'll watch that at, at a time maybe you've woken up early in the morning, you think, I'll click on
there was obviously some games on last night as well. Don't know if I watched PSG Bayern. I thought.
Did you watch that game?
I watched it. I thought PSG were terrible. I thought Bayern should have won that 3 or 4-0. They battered PSG.
It just shows you that all the money that you plough into it doesn't work.
It's all the individually they're better than Bayern, but Bayern's a far better team. They've got Messi. They just give the ball to him, do something. Or Neymar. They've no cohesion at all. PSG, for the money they've spent, Bayern Munich will put them out, no doubt about that now.
Even with Mbappe and Messi.
Yeah, no, the Bayern Munich will go through.
Yeah.
PSG are poor, Bayern Munich are far better. I thought
Seems to be a wee argument going on in the dressing rooms as well.
I don't think there's too many egos in there. Too many egos for me. I don't think they're going to do anything this year in the Champions League.
He's tipped them the last 6 seasons.
They're not going to win. I tell you, they have more chance of Liverpool winning it than they've no chance. So no for me. But I'm going to watch St Mirren Motherwell tonight.
Yeah.
If I can get it on the channel.
Watch Motherwell St Mirren. Ruffy?
What?
Bayern Munich?
That doesn't look good, does it?
Doesn't
If you get beat at home, you know.
You're out.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. There was one year that my team, what were they up? 5-4 nothing.
3-0.
No, it was more than that.
It was against Barcelona. It was 4-0. We're up 4 nothing. Yeah, it was a last minute goal, Ruffy. You were absolutely pig sick, weren't you?
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, but I just don't see, it just shows you all the millions, and they've had a few good managers. They've Unai Emery.
Lost 3 in a row now. That guy's going to get the bullet. Christian Guilt.
It's not good, is it?
But you would think with the players that they've got to do something.
I like Verratti as well. I think
Bayern Munich's a far better team than
but just hasn't worked out for them. And I think Tottenham have a right good chance, because that Champions League match, although there's something missing with Tottenham at the moment, I can't work out what it is.
They just like Poch coming back into the season.
They just don't look a potent force, and I think maybe. They might be talking about Pochettino coming back, but the problem with it is Ancelotti wants money to take them to another level. He wants big money to try and take them on. I
suppose there's a takeover in the pipeline.
Yeah, how many states can own English clubs, Ruffy? It's getting a bit silly, isn't it?
It's getting silly, and that's why everybody else is worried about it. I was reading a thing the other day there. One of the sheikhs I think it's 230 billion.
Yeah. But is he happy? Is he happy, Ruffy?
When you buying Partick Thistle, Ruffy, you must have enough money now.
Billion. No, the finances are a wee bit of a mess in there, and we're going to get involved there.
Ruffy, see if you won 100...
Holy joke.
Why did you have to open your gob? You couldn't resist, could you? You're going to get pelters for that now. You've taken the heat off him with one sentence.
A joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what happens with jokes, by the way, especially if you're sitting in the bank somewhere where there's no lighting and nobody can see you. The one I can't believe you've gone for that. The one thing I would say, Ruffy, is okay, PSG are going out. Milan, Tottenham.
Milan through.
Yeah. Here's the question I was going to ask you. See if you won the lottery. Let's just say 100 million.
He's just
100 million.
He's mint it.
Let's say 100 million.
100 million.
Right, can I just ask you this one thing, right? Would you buy a football club?
I'd buy Partick Thistle.
You'd buy Partick Thistle, would you?
I'd put about 10 million in and get them back to where they should be.
Where?
I would have no hesitation.
Where should they be?
In the Premier League.
Just in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
You'd spend 10 million?
Yeah.
Throw money at it.
If I've got 100 million, 10 million's nothing.
Right, see that 10 million? Which manager do you get? Because you've got your free choice. Come on. There's that many out there. Who would you go for?
You've thrown that one on me. That I don't...
You get 100 million, Ruffy. You get 10 million.
I'd probably go for Pep. Much would I have to give him? Much would I have to give him?
To be honest with you, Ruffy,
you've
got no money left. With all due respect, 100 million wouldn't scratch the surface. But 10 million, you could have your pick of some right good managers. I would
cryogenically freeze yourself.
I would not. By the way, your mum's going to go mental if you keep saying he's going to die. I would not buy a football club in a million years.
You would if you had a team.
100 million.
You'd buy a wee crappy team. Not Thistle, but you'd buy a wee. No, I'm not talking about Thistle. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about a wee.
But can you imagine getting a club that you've been with all your life, 10 million to get them back where they were?
Yeah.
And seeing them being successful.
Still trying to weasel his way back in, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Because they're taking Alan Rough off the sign in the lounge.
Yeah, I think the painting's been taken down as well. We're searching for that at the moment.
His Hall of Fame's now been reenacted.
It's all there, Ruffy. They're put in.
I'll just bring it in here.
Yeah, listen, there's still some room behind us, Ruffy. We can stick up your painting. Anyway, Bruges against Benfica. Give us your prediction.
Benfica, they're doing well in Europe now.
Yeah.
Benfica for me, yeah.
Yep, okay. Dortmund, Chelsea.
I'm hoping that Potter can finally produce a bit of magic for his wand. So I'll go for 2-0 Chelsea.
2-0.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are. Gag number 754 in the rotten gags that he's fired in here. Gallant said to me, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't buy a club either, but I would put a few bob into Rangers. And I think that's the thing about it. Some people do like the opportunity to just maybe stick a few quid in.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
To see them doing well and getting back and moving up and buying good players and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be a great kick.
Thought you'd away to Vegas or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just, that would be me. I'd completely
just never come back.
I would wrap it, Ruffy, but I'd give you a few quid.
Yeah, but
you know,
you've got another 90 million to spend.
Eh?
We'll get another 90 million once you've invested the 10.
Yeah. Would you expect money from us if I won 100 million, Tom?
10.
Yeah. Jesus, overestimating yourself, isn't it, Ruffy?
Ruffy's leave me something.
Yeah.
Ruffy's leave me a
I
few
would
quid.
make sure that you had one of the most high-tech phones so that you would see us clearly from Barbados. What about Arsenal against Man City? What a game this is going to be tonight. This is the one I'm watching.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that as well.
Yeah.
I just get a funny feeling at Man City. You know, it's a big game, big players turn up for big games. Yeah, I think they'll just narrowly win it.
Yeah, well, it's the master against the protege. It's Pep against Arteta.
I think in terms of motivation, hopefully they don't need. I think the game takes care of himself, and the atmosphere that they're going to be playing tomorrow on it as well. If anything, just try to drive that energy in the right way and use it in our favour.
I would say the mentality is there. So we are second on the table in the FA Cup. We are there, Champions League, we qualify again. So we didn't draw much, I had the feeling. The difference is because we have a team that make 50 points in the first leg. So when that's happened, it just heads off and try to learn and improve yourself.
It's an absolute belter. You know, they've got an investigation going on at the moment. He's quite prickly in press conferences at the moment, Pep, on the figures that Manchester City have shown over the last decade or so. But he's still got to try and win the title. They can leapfrog Arsenal if they win. I still think the remit is win the Champions League. And if they don't do that, I think he's... Yeah, amazingly, I know people love Pep Guardiola, he can do no wrong. But I think he's underachieved.
Yeah, I think the money they've spent, over $1 billion. I think the Champions League's always been, you know, the crown jewel for Man City. That's what they want to win. And they've won the Premier League plenty of times. I think the Champions League this year, you know, if you'd asked me to start the season, after the first couple of months, I'd have thought fancy Man City strongly, you know, with Haaland and all that. But they've been off the boil the last couple of months. And seen Bayern last night, I was really impressed with them. So all of a sudden you're thinking, well, Man City are no certainty to win that Champions League, even though they're favourites of the bookies. But that's going to be a big game tonight. Maybe the financial fair play and the criticism they're getting for that will maybe light a wee bit of a fire under the manager and the fans to rally around the team, and they'll go and get a result tonight against Arsenal. But if Arsenal win, I think that's the league over.
Yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they'll go 5 points clear with a game in hand.
Yeah. Okay, Ian Docherty says, Peter, Manchester United's net spend over the last 10 years is just over $1 billion. Manchester City is just over 800,000 in the last 10 years. Ian, I think you might have to check your figures there on this one. I think he's spent well over $1 billion. He may well have punted a few
Ian
out.
Guardiola typing in.
Well, I was just about to say, just about to say to you, but quite simply, he spent a lot of money and they haven't won that Champions League, Ruffy. You know, the master, the best manager that Britain has ever produced in Sir Alex Ferguson. He won it twice. I thought Fergie should have won it maybe 2 or 3 others. I still can't believe they lost to Bayer Leverkusen in a semi-final. I think they lost to Porto in one as well, you know. There's some that got away.
Yeah, as Tam said there, that's his objective. That's what he wants on his CV. He wants to get it with Man City, and he's not achieved that. And there was a couple of years there then people were beginning to doubt if he ever would be, and then he just went out and splashed the cash, you know, to win it again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they don't win it this year.
Yeah, Ian Docherty says, I have checked it, Peter. Well, Ian, you must be a Man City accountant, because that's why they're under investigation at the moment. We'll find out. We'll all get onto it and check Manchester City's figures of players sold, how much they've spent in getting to where they are at the moment. And of course, Ruffy won't be doing that, because obviously you're checking a different set of figures as we speak, Ruffy. Just before we go, we'll give you the answer to the quiz. But on this day in the 15th of February 2003, Ruffy. Arsenal defeated Manchester United 2-0 at Old Trafford. It was the third round of the FA Cup. Alex Ferguson kicked a boot in the changing room which hit David Beckham in the face, and of course then there was the cut over his left eye, and I think there was a wee bit of the old butterfly stitching in there, and he made sure that he got his picture taken when he was driving in his car leaving the training ground, and then from there I think it was eventually his demise. He was always going to be sold.
Yeah, I think Sir Alex Ferguson was old school manager. You know, we were led to believe that that was the way it happened in dressing rooms. You know, hair dryers getting flung out, anything that was handy to get flung about. You know, but sometimes with some players it's not acceptable, and certainly David Beckham was top of his game then, and he's obviously decided not happy with that, and he left.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Beckham at one point was world class, did you?
Oh, aye, absolutely. World class. He went to play for Real Madrid, who were best team in the world at that time.
Still couldn't win the Champions League with them.
Galacticos, yeah, and no, but I think Alex Ferguson, that was you're right, that was the beginning of the end for him at Man United. Did
you ever have in a dressing room a manager who threw something?
Yeah, I did. I told you I was at the 4-each game with Hearts when I was at Hibs. We were 4-2 up with 2 minutes to go, and Yannick Zambernardi, French defender, sold 2 goals, and Bobby Williamson threw a boot at him, and at 100 mile an hour for the hit, went to he needed 40 stitches, he'd have busted his head open. And Jerry McCabe made the immortal phrase that good French players don't play in Scotland. To Yannick, which wasn't great man management. You know what Cavy's like. And, no, that was I've seen managers, Alec McLeish, Jim Duffy, guys like that, throwing players about, never mind boots.
If Jim Duffy throws you about, you know all about it.
Yeah.
Jim's the most fierce guy if there's a defeat in the cards. Ruffy, I don't need to ask, you were in the era where throwing things was part of the course.
Wee Betty hit me with a pie.
Yeah?
Yeah, in all fairness, it wasn't directed at me, it was directed at Brian Whittaker, who was sitting beside me, and he was sort of looking about, and he was going to throw a cup, but obviously that would be a bit dangerous, so the first thing he got his hand on was a big Scottish pie, and he lobbed it right at Brian Whittaker, and Brian jumped to the road and hit me right in the face. Yeah. And it's quite embarrassing, you know, sitting pulling bits of mince out your head when you're getting out in the second half against Rangers.
Did they not? I was trying to remember a story where did he not try and do something with the teapot as well that was roasting? I remember a story like that. They tried to kick the teapot.
The best one of the lot. Well, I'm not getting this story 100%. Obviously, I've heard it so many times. Was John Lambie with the pigeon when he signed this boy for somewhere.
Just out of curiosity, before he tells this story, is it likely to get us in trouble with the RSPCA or the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Birds? Yes. Right. Don't bother telling us. You've got us in enough trouble. I'd rather the Celtic fans just hate Tam this week. I don't want bird lovers.
The pie story's all right, but we can't trust you anywhere other ones.
No. Oh, dearie me, you really need to have a look at yourself. Honestly, you're terrible this week. Which manager has the highest number of English Premier League wins after 250 games? Pep Guardiola. There you are, Ruffy. Give him your condescending look.
Absolutely. Want to give him the golf course?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another one out the bunker.
Pep Guardiola is the answer. If you want to enter our competition, it's a good prize this week. Adam's got the details.
Another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question. How many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to Jimmy Duffy. Says, come on, Ruffy, your head's always full of mince. Yeah, but sometimes so is his face. Good show today. Loved the banter. Rotten jokes, as ever, always guaranteed with Tammy. Always likes to get a pun in there. And of course, Ruffy, you can join us tomorrow on the programme. Hugh McDonald will be with us. We're on 4 o'clock till 5, Monday to Friday. And on the Saturday, Tam and myself sit here on the couch from 4 o'clock, give you the half-time and the full-time scores, reporters at all the matches in the Scottish Premiership, and we'll bring you the reaction from the managers and players as well. I don't know any other channel that's on 7 days a week with so much content that you can consume, and if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you get all the breaking football stories as well. And if you can go on the website and cover our social channels, the social media channels have all the breaking stories as well, and you can interact with us. Thank you to so many of you for talking to us today on our feeds. Hit the subscribe button, join the football family. It's absolutely free to watch. From Tam, from Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin, thank you to you for watching.